when I began to compose, I think in the 70s, the beginning of 70s, it was one of my main influence. But it was strange because Pierre Boulez was not living in France at that time, was living in New York, and he came very rarely. So I didn't personal contact with him at this moment. But my first personal contact was in IRCAM, when one of my pieces was performed on the first concert by the Ensemble Intercontemporain, the inaugural concert. I don't know why, but I was very young at that time. They have chosen a piece of mine, which was a piece for piano and ensemble. Pierre and Emma played the soloist part. And I met Pierre that, and we became close and close. And after that, my other big connection with him was when he performed a lot of pieces of mine in Carnegie Hall, and 2 times in Chicago and 1 time in Cleveland. And we spent a lot of time in the US. In my early pieces, it's very clear that I was very influenced by his style. But progressively, I was more independent. I detached from him, this kind, but not what is totally continued to influence me. It was this rigor of thought, the way he was very rigorous, and the way to do not joke with music, with making something very very superficial, is to go as deeper as we can in the matter of the music and in the thought of the music, and that is continuing, in fact, to influence me. I think it's a rigorous and intellectual posture and intellectual behavior continues to affect me, of course. I have composed a piece for Emmanuel. First piece was the flute concerto, which was commissioned by Gürzenich and François Xavier wrote. And the title of this piece is Saccade. In that piece, I wanted to make a music which is never calm, never quiet, but like something which always moves from something like a fish in a river. So it's the spirit of the piece. And at the end of Saccade, I decided to finish with the flute alone. And I composed a little piece of flute alone, but it was too short from my point of view. And in the meantime, Emmanuel asked me to compose a solo flute piece, which could be a sort of resume of concerto. But it's a sort of just I have extract the main interesting figure for the flute and put it in a solo piece. Emmanuel Pahud is so wonderful performer, so wonderful flutist. I'm sure he will have the energy, in fact, to communicate the feeling of the music, even if he has just to play in front of cameras. But I'm sure he will transcend this situation. And for me, the flute is the most practical instrument if you want to use your body when you play. You can walk, you can go one side to another. And as this piece is written for a sort of, like if it's somebody which is always jumping and moving, I'm sure Emmanuel will produce that, will produce it. And it will give the impression that the hall is full.